Thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Vulcan Report with yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist, aka the Vulcan, coming to you live from PulseWaveTrading.com, home of the world famous PulseWave Price Triggers reports that we put in your hand each and every trading day. Well, it is that time of week where we get ready and prepared for Take Back Friday. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is our special Thursday night segment when we prepare and get ready for the Take Back Friday that is so quickly coming upon us. And this is also normally when we will take a look at various markets and take a look at what the intraday price inflection points may hold. And that's what we do. It's been a really wild week, not just for the markets, but here for me as well. A lot going on here on the home front, families being sick and whatnot. So that's why I've been starting later than usual. And that's why tomorrow morning we're not going to have a pre-market pulse scan because I got to deal with doctors and such. So with that being said, just wanted to prepare you for that so you won't be too sad, but that's what it is. So at least now you know what's good. All right, so we're going to get right into it like we always do. And we're going to go really fast because I don't have a lot of time this evening. That's one of the reasons why we're starting late. I almost didn't even get around to doing this segment tonight, but I figured I didn't want to let you guys down, so I am multitasking. So let's get right into it. All right. No particular order. We're doing futures, forex, stocks, and crypto. All right, lightning fast. Here we go. Starting with the E-mini S&P 500 futures. As you can see, today was a pullback correction day, and it also generated a crash alert for tonight into tomorrow's trading as markets look like they're going to be heading toward the trend line support for the S&P. That's around the 3,300 mark. So what do you need to see to prove that we put in a short-term top? Well, any close tomorrow in the E-mini S&P 500 below 3508 is definitely going to be a problem. Put it that way, it's going to be a problem. You don't want to see that. All right, you don't want to see that at all. Let me just see one other thing here. I just need to check something. Okay, yep, 3508 tomorrow. Anything below that, and we have a short-term top in the equity market as far as the S&P 500 is concerned. Dow futures, same thing. Trendline support is now in play. If the market closes below 28,582 tomorrow, well, we got a short-term top in the Dow. Taking a look at the Aussie. On the forex side, you see more downside production here from the crash alert. Looks like we're going to the trend line support here as well. A close below 73.18 also is bearish and puts in a short-term top for the Aussie. Canadian dollar rally alert for tonight into tomorrow's trading. On this one, the overhead trend line resistance is the initial target. As long as the market can close above 130.89, we put in a short-term bottom in the Canadian dollar. Looking at the U.S. dollar index, more upside production from the rally alert, headed toward the overhead trend line resistance. And as long as the market closes above 92.60 tomorrow, well, we put in a short-term bottom in the dollar. Looking at the euro dollar, crash alert. More downside production, another crash alert for tonight into tomorrow's trading. Trend line support is the initial target. As long as the market closes below 118.68 tomorrow, we put in a short-term top in the euro dollar. Looking at the euro yen, still more downside production from the crash alert. Trend line support is the target. As long as the market closes below 125.89 tomorrow, guess what? That's a short-term top, and we're looking for more downside to come. Taking a look now at the pound sterling, crash alert, more downside production. Trend line support is the target. A close below 133.13 tomorrow puts in a short-term top with more downside to go. Looking at the dollar yen, starting to get some more upside production from the rally alert back here. The initial trend line resistance has been met. Next target now is the top of the Kumo cloud on this one. All right, so as long as the market closes above 106.07, we've put in a short-term bottom as well, with this here being the support. Moving right along to the Mexican peso. Mexican peso right now, the trade is still to the downside of the market from the crash alert here and here. More downside production is going. We're below Kumo cloud and trend line. Therefore, more downside to come as long as the market stays below 2179.98. We're going to keep falling. Going to nat gas. So nat gas has had back-to-back crash alerts. Didn't get any more downside production today, but the trade is still to the short side of the market. Trendline support is the initial target. A close below $2.53 remains bearish. Looking at gold. Gold futures right now, believe it or not, still waiting to see if the pullback toward the trend line support is going to be bid back up again. So we're looking for the long trade, looking to get long the support here. Now we have the weekly trend line momentum has fallen off. It can relock back in tomorrow. So that's what we're going to look and see and wait for. I think we're going to catch a bid here. Possibly. Just it's a lot going on right now. With the dollar hitting a temporary bottom and strengthening, if gold acts more like a commodity, that could add more pressure and keep this market in check. However, if the dollar starts to slide again, then this should remove the ceiling and we should be able to rally again. So very interesting place. I do believe, though, that these support levels are going to be bid up. So that's what we're looking for. As long as this market can stay above 1956.80, then you will be very bullish. But closes that are below 1956.80 is going to put a bearish overtone in the market, even though right now every pullback is being bid up. So this is an interesting market going forward. Looking at the Kiwi New Zealand dollar, we got a crash alert for tonight into tomorrow's trading, with trend line support being the initial target. As long as the market closes below 67.21, you are in the bear camp. Moving right along to the South African Rand. So the trade right now is still to the long side of the market as every pullback is being bid. Overhead trend line resistance is still a factor. So it's the overhead top of the Kumo cloud. And as long as the market can stay above 16.8058, then you're bullish. But as long as you remain below it, then you stay in the bear camp with a bullish type of a bias. So we'll see what happens there too. The Kiwi and the South African Rand look very interesting. All right, let's move over to the equity side of the market now. Taking a look here at Apple. Crash alert that got downside production, followed by another crash alert for tomorrow. Trend line support is the initial target on this one. It's like the gift that keeps on giving, right? So as long as this market stays below $127.94, you're in the bear camp with a temporary top. Looking at the this is 88 Cardano. So we had that crash alert. We got the downside production, and it looks like the trade is still on the short side of the market. Looking like prices are falling below the Kumo cloud here and could be accelerating. So as long as the market closes below 0.1162, then you stay in the bear camp. Looking at Bitcoin Cash, ABC, had the crash alert, got really nice downside production today, looking like there's still more yet to come. As long as the market stays below 269.35, you are in the bear camp. Moving right along to Bitcoin. So we had that crash alert. We got the downside production. We got below the trend line support threatening to come down here to the Kumo cloud and even build some kind of support around it. That's what we have going on. We did warn that 10,005 would be that support zone, and that's where we're right now. We're trading between the 10,000 and 10,005. I warned that that's what we were looking at back before we got this, when we were still on this leg of it. I told you what was going on, and that's exactly what's happening right now. Market's gonna try to hang around here to scare people a little bit. Then it should go rip roaring back up if the bull market is strong and healthy. That's the question. If the bull market is strong and healthy, I believe it's going to be supported around here. The bulls are going to come in and support the market and bid it back up again. That's what it's looking like. So we shall see. We'll see what this one can do. But as long as the market stays below 11,425, well, guess what? You're in the bear camp. Looking at Ethereum. So Ethereum here, kind of a similar situation. The momentum is definitely coming off here. As you can see, momentum is definitely coming off. And what we need to see is a close that is strong. So tomorrow you need a close above 431.55. Anything below that is bearish. Anything above it would be bullish. All right, that's your Ethereum. All right, moving right along to Facebook. All right, so Facebook has a crash alert for tomorrow's trading. Trend line support down here around 260 is the initial target. As long as this market closes below $293.08, this market remains in the bear camp. Looking at GDXJ. So we got production from the back-to-back downside production from the crash alert, getting close to that trend line support around that 55 handle. As long as the market closes below $58.65, you remain in the bear camp, but a close above it puts you in a bullish bias for next week. GLD right now, this is that market. This is definitely that market. Remember how I was telling you how gold, was just really elongated here? Well, that's what's happening here on the GLD. It's really showing you a better picture. Rally alert, we got that nice upside production, right? Now the market's pulled back 2 days in a row, but still remains in a buy zone, looking for these pullbacks to get bid up near these support areas. The only thing is we got a beginning of a bearish weekly trend momentum reading coming in. Maybe it'll be a one-off like it was back here. You just had a one-off and then it fell off and then you got bullish again. So that's what I'm looking to see. Are we going to get was today a one-off, and did we relock back in and try to trend tomorrow and get out of this correction? Or do we correct further and threaten to go below the trend line support? It's a really tough call. But as long as the market closes below $183.03, well, guess what? It stays in a bearish perspective, even though technically it doesn't know what it wants to do, but we're maintaining a slight bullish bias. And it's a weird kind of market. It's a weird market. This is a strange one. All right, this is a strange one. Gold right now is really trying to decide what it wants to do. All right, the NASDAQ 100, as you can see here, looking quite nasty. Got a crash alert. Trend line support is the initial target. As long as the market closes tomorrow below 12,089, and then we're going to remain in the bear camp going into next week with threats of further correction. Looking at the IWM, which is the ETF for the Russell, same thing, crash alert for tomorrow. Trend line supports the initial target. As long as the market closes below $156.24, it remains in the bear camp. Taking a look at real estate on the commercial side, ticker is IYR, crash alert for tomorrow, with the trend line support being the initial target. As long as the market closes tomorrow below $82.67, it remains in the bear camp. Moving over now to Litecoin. Litecoin had that crash alert. We got that downside production today, really nice, dropping below the trend line support. Next target is the Kumo cloud, and I believe more downside production is to come, especially with the beginning of this bearish weekly trend momentum reading coming into play. Very, very, very interesting. All right. Yeah, so as long as this, the Litecoin closes tomorrow below $58.99, yeah, that's exactly where you will be headed, and that's to the downside. Moving right along now to crude oil, but we're looking at ticker OIH. This one here, this ETF has a rally alert for tomorrow, already at the trend line, overhead trend line resistance. I think it wants to go to the top of the Kumo cloud to test. That should put it up there around the 135 to 140-ish zone. We'll see what happens. But as long as this market can stay above $125.51, then it can keep itself in a bull camp. But if it closes below it, it still remains under bearish pressure. Looking at the QQQ, which is the NASDAQ 100 ETF, got a crash alert for tomorrow. The trend line support around the 270-ish level is the initial target. Closes below $294.04. Keeps this market in a bearish perspective. Looking at SLV. SLV had that continued downside production from the crash alert. And it looks like we want to go right down here to the trend line support. Bearish weekly trend momentum reading propping up. A close below $25.47 keeps this market in the bear camp as well. Looking at the S&P 500 by way of ticker SPY, which tracks the even the S&P 500. This you have a crash alert for this one for tomorrow. Trend line support is your initial target. And as long as this market can close below $350.54, it remains in the bear camp and under a bearish perspective. Also, we have to call it as a temporary top in the market. Looking at bonds, the ticker here is TLT. All right, so we came in here with this back-to-back rally alerts, got some nice upside production today. This is looking like it wants to test now the top of the Kumo cloud around the 175-ish level. All right, bullish weekly trend momentum readings are starting to prop up as well. As long as this market can close above 164.38 tomorrow, it stays in the bull camp, as a matter of fact, and we say we put in a short-term bottom. All right, moving along to Tesla. I told you to be careful of the Tesla. Crash alert after crash alert, more downside production. This market is now officially in a corrective zone. Trend line support around the 350-ish level is now in play. A close tomorrow below $440.17 is bearish and puts in a short-term top. Looking at XRP Ripple. Crash alert, downside production was nice today. Got right here toward that trend line support. Next target is the bottom, or I'm sorry, the top and or bottom of the Kumo cloud. Since the Kumo cloud is narrowing at this point in time, a close below 0.2780 is bearish. Anything below that is bullish. But for right now, we do have a short-term top in place here as well, topping pattern. All right, moving right along, here is crude oil futures contract with a secondary crash alert for tonight and tomorrow's trade, threatening to go inside of the Kumo cloud. A close tomorrow below $42.16 is bearish. Anything above that will put in a short-term bottom. But as you can see here, we're nowhere near that. Moving on to ZRX on the crypto side. The crash alerts are paying off in spades. Mad downside production coming below the trend line support, threatening to go down and crash below the Kumo cloud. A close below 0.5796 keeps this market in the bear camp. All right, moving right along. Now we got QLGN. All right, it's an equity, and we're still getting downside production from the crash alert here. And I think more is in store as this market is looking to put in another leg down. What do we need to see tomorrow in order to put a short-term bottom in place? We need to close above $4.57. Anything below that keeps it in the bear camp. All right, looking at Twitter, the ticker is TWTR. Got a crash alert for tomorrow's trading here. Trendline support is the initial target. A close tomorrow below $41.51 puts in a short-term top and opens the door for more downside production into next week. This is one by request. This here is your silver spot. All right, so we had a crash alert. We're getting this the second day in a row of downside production. Trend line support is your initial target around the 24 handle. And as long as this market closes tomorrow below $27.46, it stays in the bear camp with a short-term top in place. Looking at spot gold. Spot gold. Technically speaking, spot gold is just as confusing as gold futures and GLD ETF. Same chart pattern. Undecisive. We did get upside production though from the original rally alert here, but since then it's pulled back 2 days in a row, but not really. I think the markets here, here and here and here and then back here. I think the test to the trend line support will be bid back up again, as it has been for quite some time now. So that's really what we're looking for. So you are still in a bull market, but right now you're just consolidating, and there's really no conviction at this point either way. So as long as the market can close tomorrow above $1,950, then I think you're good to go. Anything below that, though, opens the door to a more bearish tone for next week. Russell My Hustle has a crash alert for tonight into tomorrow's trading, heading right here toward that trend line support around the 1500-ish level. So that's what we'll be watching for. As long as this market stays below 1570 tomorrow, then it stays in the bear camp with a short-term top in place. All right, looking at silver futures, here's that crash alert. We got that downside production. Trend line support is in play around the $25 handle or so. A close tomorrow below $27.67 does keep us in the bear camp and puts in a short-term top for silver. All right, looking at corn. Corn had that crash alert, got that downside production. Back-to-back narrow range inside days. Market's kind of taking a break, but the bias is still to the downside. Bears are still in control of the market. Trend line support down here around the 340 handle is in play. A close tomorrow below 355 3/4 keeps this one in a bearish perspective bias for next week. Moving right along now to soybeans. All right, so soybeans have just continuously giving us upside production from these rally alerts. This is just an amazing run. As long as the market stays above 952.5 tomorrow, then this one remains in the bull market bias as well. Looking at wheat. Wheat has that crash alert we came into today with downside production. I think we get at least another day of downside production tomorrow with the trend line support down here and play around the 525-ish level. As long as the market closes below $5.53, $553.5, I want to say 553.5. Yeah, 553.5. I think that's what we are. 553.5 is the zone here. So a close below that is bearish, but a close above it is more of a bullish overtone, which looks like it's right there on the edge, deciding where it wants to go. All right, so that's it. All right, let's see what we got up in here. Let's see. UVXY, GBTC. How bad can this get? All right, let's see. Let's pull up those and then I'll answer that question. All right, so first of all, how bad can it get? Uh, the analysis that I just gave you, as far as the crash alerts and um, the where the initial targets are, that's how bad it can get. So it depends on what market you're talking about. Um, but if you go back and look where the trend line supports are on the crash alerts, that's how bad it can get. Like with the Bitcoin, I told you between 10,000 and 10,005 is your support zone. I showed you where the trend lines were on the futures for the S&P, Nasdaq, Dow. That's how bad it can get. Market prices like to go back to the equilibrium, which is where the trend lines are. All right, so UVXY traditionally used to go ham. Used to have bars like you did back here in March, but now we're getting these little teeny baby spec bars. So you had more upside production today in the UVXY from the rally alert right here just a few days ago. Now it's headed toward the top of the Kumo cloud. That's the initial target, and that's around the $35 to $40 handle. All right, so that's the initial targets for you there. Can it go a lot higher and turn into a bull market again? It absolutely could. This depends on how long the correction lasts. All right, but I wouldn't get my hopes up too much. I think that this bull market that we're seeing in equities, for whatever reason, like it or not, is pretty powerful. Today's move, as far as price is perspective is concerned, the downside move we saw in the Dow and the Nasdaq was a substantial number, but it didn't put a dent in the charts. The charts are still in a bull market. We're still in a bull market. We're just looking at a corrective pullback. That's all. We've entered into a correction zone, and we're in a pullback. That's it. It's a pullback correction, but it's not what I would call full blown correction. There's a difference. My definitions are different. Pullback just means the prices are pulled back from the high. Correction means the same thing. It means the prices are pulled back from the high, but a correction is a little more definite, saying that price action now is breaking supports and you're in this state of correction. A correction, depending on how long it lasts, can turn into an algo shift that turns into a trend change. And you can go from a bull market to a bear market quickly, or a bear market to a bull market quickly. It depends on how long the correction lasts and how deep the correction goes. Sometimes you can get into a correction and just move sideways and you're really not going anywhere, but you're still in a corrective state. So corrections are a little bit different. All right. Corrections means you've broken major supports in the market, and and that changes your chart. Today's price action in the stock indexes did break key intraday price inflection points, which have now put the markets in a corrective state. Yes, we are in a corrective state, but it's only day one. You can always get out of that the following within 2 days. You can overcome that. So that's why I'm not too shook over it. It's not. If you look at the charts, it's not all that. It's not like we had any major damage on the chart. You would have to have price movements like this in order to say, yeah, we got damage on the chart. Like if you go back here on the UVXY, pull it back a little bit, you can see here the market wasn't doing nothing. It was flat, 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 flat. Then when you got like this, now you've changed the complexion of the chart. All right. And then when you got way up here, now this did damage on your chart. You did a lot of damage up in here. You totally reshaped the face of the chart. So that can happen. So UVXY, it's not even really, if you look at it, it's nominal. For the type of price movement we saw today, you would expect the UVXY to have moved a lot more, but it didn't. You would expected a bar like this to be right here. If you could have put this bar right here, then I'd be like, yo, today we had damage. We have damage. So yeah, we have an algo shift, but that's not what's happening. You just had an up move. And you look at this and compare this to the bar that you saw on the Dow, it doesn't even compare. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not impressed with the price action I saw today. Just because the market pulled back or corrected doesn't mean that you start shorting. It just means that you have a pullback in the market. The only way to have caught the intraday price inflection point would have been you would have had to have known where that was coming from. And if you don't have the pulse waves, there's no way in the world you could have known that kind of price action was coming. But we have two different reports we put out. We have a loaded report where you can catch those intraday price inflection points. So that's why the pulse waves are important. All right, here's PayPal. The ticker is PYPL. Got a crash alert for tomorrow. Trendline support at around the 185 level is the initial target for this one. A close below $204.03 is bearish and puts in a short-term top. But a close above it keeps the chart just the way it is in a bullish bias. All right, and let's see what else you asked me for here. Let me see. Okay. GBTC. All right, GBTC. Here we go. GBTC is the ETF for Bitcoin, for those that don't know. All right, so as you can see here, we had a crash alert coming into today and got really nice downside production. Price fell below the trend line support. Next target is the top of the Kumo cloud. A close tomorrow below $13.07 is bearish. A close above it would be bullish and put in a short-term bottom. All right, let's see. Okay, what about the BTC futures gap between 9,600 and 99? Let me take a look at that for you. Let me pull that up. Let's see here. Let me get out of this. Let's see. I have it around here somewhere. Let's see. All right, here we go. All right, you said from 96 to 99. I don't see a gap. I don't see a gap, my man. What are you talking about right here? Yeah, you talking about right here. You talking about this little gap right here. All right, technically speaking, yeah. That qualifies. That qualifies. That qualifies. I see what you're saying. Yep. All right, I didn't see that at first. Okay, yep. That is a gap. That does constitute a legitimate gap. So technically speaking, let's see, today's initial move started the process, but we still got a long way to go. So yeah, you could come down to about here. You could come down to probably about here. And that's the top of the Kumo cloud. So yeah, I can see that. So top of the Kumo cloud. Yep. That's on, and that happens to be the next target for this one. As you can see here, we had a crash alert on the Bitcoin Futures Composite Index. Got downside production that was massive. Got and went beyond the trend line support, and now the next target is the top of the Kumo cloud. So yeah, and that would fill your gap back here. I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, that makes sense. As long as the Bitcoin Futures Composite Index closes tomorrow below 11,458, that will keep this in the bear camp as well. So yep, and we got the beginning of a bullish weekly trend momentum reading, and yep, we're still in a corrective state there as well. So yes, absolutely, you got it. You got it. Let's say November is the big crash. All right, let's talk about that just right quick. All right, so first of all, like I've always told you guys from the beginning, those who've been with me and followed me the longest, you know, I've always told you it is darn near impossible to marry price and time, or price with time. All right, that's like a fool's errand. What we can do is we can make projections based on the data. But as far as putting a time on it, that's very difficult. You can give ranges. It's easier to put things in a range than it is to say, okay, this is going to do this on this day. That's impossible. Nobody knows the future. However, I will say this, and I've been telling you this for the last 2 weeks. August normally is where you will put in a top in the stock market or any other market for that matter if you're going to have a crash or a huge correction in the fall. All right. And that's what we see happening. This is the first week of the first trading week of September. And already, what do you see? You're having a corrective pullback right on schedule, right on schedule, just like I've always said to you. So, technically speaking, you could get one more push in September if you're really going to crash and burn in Rocktober. If we have a Rocktober, then there you have it. And a Rocktober could lead to a Rockvember. So yeah, I heard through the grapevine too about some stuff popping off by November. I've heard that too. Now, if this was any other year, I would say, oh, did they go talking that stuff again? But nah, this year has been off the chain, and there's so much news going around. I can't just dismiss it. I can't dismiss anything right now. I can't. I wouldn't be surprised though if the markets bounced a little bit tomorrow, because tomorrow is take back Friday and there's going to be profit taking. So I can't wave that off. But I also can't ignore that we may have a Black Monday in the coming week. I can't ignore that either. So it's just so much. It's so many variables. Now Monday is the 7th, so one day next week they're gonna be doing Labor Day. To my knowledge, Labor Day was always on September 2nd, but they done moved it this year to like the 7th or the 8th or whatever. So I don't know. All I know is that if we do have a holiday next week, there's gonna be a short trading week. You have 4 days. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Apparently, they're in the process now of hammering out a deal to avoid another shutdown. There's so much going on, man. I can't. It would take, man. I would have to do like a 3 or 4 hour radio show to talk about all the stuff that's happening. Seriously, seriously, it's not even. It's just weird. Anyway, that's why I do the Thursday night thing that I do to help prepare everybody. So you can know what it is you need to do and what these price inflection points are, things like that. But the post-wave price trigger reports themselves have a lot more data and information on them to help you so that you can know what's going on. Like all of my traders, they were alerted to what was happening in the market today with the intraday price inflection points. They already knew what the game plan was coming into the day before any of this took place. And we already had crash alerts, and the ones that didn't have crash alerts had intraday price inflection points alerting you to where something like that would happen. You knew that something was on the move if those intraday price inflection points are reached. It's very, very, very detailed. I want to let you guys know too of the webinar that is coming up. You want to go to pulsewavetrading.com and you can register for that. There's going to be some surprises for you guys that show up. You don't want to miss it. Trust me, you do not want to miss it. We got some stuff happening. All right, some stuff happening. So pulsewavetrading.com. Don't miss it. Be there, and you'll see what's going to happen. In addition to that, what else we got going on? We got a lot going on. But anyway, I won't be here tomorrow for the pre-market pulse scan. So everyone have a great weekend. Don't forget the webinar. Like I said, coming up, you can go to the pulsewavetrading.com and register for that. You don't want to miss that. It's going to be awesome. We've been doing a lot of neat things and doing some giveaways, some things I'm not at liberty to discuss. You're just going to have to go there and find out for yourself. Trust me, you will not be sorry. And with that being said, man, you know what it is. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And I'm out. Hey, smash that like button. Everyone have a great weekend.